As an academy owner, you work hard to build trust with your students, their parents, and your community. But trust isn't something you claim, it's something you prove and earn. That's where Academy Safe comes in. We help academies like yours stand out with verified safety standards. Background checks for all staff, U.S. Center for Safe Sports certification, concussion training, defibrillators on site, CPR, first aid and AED certification, security cameras, rank and lineage checks, and verification of business insurance. Join the trusted martial arts registry that's redefining safety throughout North America. Lead by example. Show parents you're accredited with Academy Safe.
Hello, and welcome to My Empty Hands, a podcast about the martial arts, typically focused on Kempo, but we give love to all the martial arts around here. I am Reggie Darden, and got another wonderful guest today. We're gonna talk some Capoeira today. So I'm excited to have one of my Capoeira sisters in the house today. So it wouldn't be. I was kind of debating as to whether or not we should just go by your Capoeira name or your actual name. But I think we're gonna stick with the Capoeira name, so that I can completely butcher it as I butcher everybody's name. Professora Garra. Garra. I don't know. I was thinking I should say it that way, and then. It wouldn't be my show if I didn't butcher names here, but so we are gonna get into her journey, her story in Capoeira and whatever other rat holes that we get onto, we'll do that as well. So I always kind of start things off by just giving a little bit of my background. I train in 5 different martial arts at this point: American Kempo, Capoeira, Hapkido, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Muay Thai. I also have some experience doing some boxing and some Taekwondo. So as I always say, I stay busy with life and work and the show and all the training. It's just I can't say no, and that's how I go. So so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So now we're going to turn it over to our esteemed guest here. How did the martial arts find you? How did Capoeira find you? Where did it all begin? And we'll just go from there.
So I actually love telling this story because it's different than how everybody else started. And so when I found out about it, I knew nothing about it. And my story actually starts as an extension of my cousin's story. So in order to understand how that happened, I have to give you some background on how his happened. So he and his best friend, they were into video games, still are, but they were playing Tekken way back in the day. And I think some conversation came up about Eddie Gordo and the style that he actually trained. And so when the two of them found out, by the way, I'm name dropping. So when Professor Bizarro and Professor Relogio found out about Eddie Gordo and the fact that he did Capoeira, they were like, I wonder if this is actually real or if this is something that they just made up for the game. And so upon doing some research, they actually found out that it was indeed real. And at the time, they had done some searches, and I don't know what the trendy browser was back in the day. But while they were searching, they found out that there was a school that actually offered Capoeira in Dallas. And so they were a little hesitant at first, but they were like, let's just see what happens. So they went to a class, and they thought that they both were going to love it. But it turns out that Professor Helogio fell in love with it, like almost immediately. And then Professor Bizotto, he was like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. And so with some, I will let them tell their stories, but with some back and forth and all that, they ended up, continuing. And then throughout that continuation, this was like around a time in my life where I was really trying to figure out things to do on the weekends so that I wouldn't be bored and stuck at the house. So with that, I was like, no better way to spend your weekends than with family, because I'm very family oriented. And so with that, started hanging out around a little bit more. And so then Saturdays were Capoeira days. And when hanging out with Professor Bizotto, he would run errands, and we'd be like, okay, well, if we can find out how to be ready when he's ready and then ask when we're leaving, we should be able to, hang out for the day and have some fun. So picking up on those patterns, me and my other cousins, decided, all right, so this is the game plan. We're going to do this. And it started working. It started working. So with that, to make this a little shorter, he eventually got his daughter into it. And then I was just around on Saturdays. They would go train. I would be sitting on the side just watching or doing whatever it is that I was doing at the time. And then as time continued, they started traveling. And so then we would go to bachizados in LA. We would go to bachizados in other parts of Texas, such as Austin, Houston, and San Antonio. And then it just became a thing. And before you know it, we were going to Colorado. So just being around the community, folks started to pick up on me. And when they saw Professor Bizotto, they knew that he would be surrounded by his daughter and me. And so when we pop up to events, they'd be like, oh, how's everybody doing? Stuff like that. And it just grew into the familiarity grew into more of a familial bond at that point. Outside of the family that I was training with. And so one bachizado, this was when Dallas Capoeira was still a part of Capoeira Jenga. And there was a bachizado in San Antonio. And now Mestre Mago, he was teaching a workshop, or he was just happened to be around when someone else was teaching a workshop. I can't remember those specifics, but I was just sitting on the side, just waiting for lunch. Because I knew that you do the workshops in the morning, then, you break for lunch, have some fun, come back for the event. And then after that, everybody hangs out again and have some fun. And so with me waiting on the side, Mago, he was actually professor at the time. But now Mestre, he came over to me and he's like, why aren't you training? And I was like, what do you mean? I don't do this. and he was like, but you're always around. I don't understand. Are you not interested in this? And I was like, no, I'm interested. This looks cool. I don't know if I can do it, but it looks pretty interesting. And I think I can probably do it. So then he's like, okay, well, now back to my original question, why aren't you training? And I was like, if you want me to train, you have to talk to that guy. And I pointed out Professor Bizotto out of the workshop. And once I did that, he left. He went, pulled him out of the workshop to come to the side with me. And he looked at him and he asked him the same question. Why isn't she training? And he looked at me, I looked at him, and it was really like the Spider-Man meme where they're looking and pointing at each other.
Yeah.
So then he was like, is this even something you're interested in? And I'm like, I don't know. I'd have to try it to really figure that out. And so he's like, okay, so here's the deal. This is what we're going to do. When we make it back to Dallas, I'm going to let you try it for a week. You have to show up and you can't give up. After that week is over, we'll reassess. if you actually want to do this, if you say yes, and if I've seen you try to do things, then I'll sign you up for it. If not, it's not happening. I was like, oh, okay. And then at that point, my competitiveness kind of kicked in at that point, because I'm like, I like a challenge. Let's do this. And so we made it back to Dallas, and take these off. We made it back to Dallas, and the trial week started. And I kid you not, I was the biggest crybaby. I'm pretty sure everybody was just annoyed and tired of me. But it was because when I get excited about doing something and I can't do it, my frustration levels peak, and then the only way for me to calm myself down is to just let my emotions happen. I'm much better at that now. But I was working through trying to figure myself out. I was a teenager. And so, survived that week, and he asked me, did I want to continue? And I said, yes. And I've been here ever since.
Very nice, very nice. Now we'll probably jump around a little bit. It just kind of dawned on me that I didn't explain a few things since primarily my listeners, viewers are not capoeiristas. They may not know a few things. So one of the things I wanted to mention. So in the capoeira world, many times people get what they call a apelido, a nickname, a war name, I don't know, however you want to call it. So most of the time you'll get some sort of name that it can be based off of any sort of thing, maybe how you look like, or how you play, or maybe your application, what job you do, just whatever kind of random thing. So, so let's discuss your apelido. Well, first, what does it mean, and then how did you get it?
So this is actually an interesting one. Okay, let's start with the meaning. And if you ask anyone, the meaning kind of bounces around as well. So, more directly, it means claws. And we'll dig into that a little bit. But then, the underlying meaning of the name, is more centered around tenacity, the determination and things like that. So, how I initially got it was due to my nails. Right now, I'm tamed, and so I have them cut short. But back in the day, I didn't. So my nails are very thin, and so they break on their own, and I don't need to always go and cut them unless I want them to look nice. Or unless I could, get them done. So I would let them grow out, and they would just be there until they broke. And so, being one of the few ladies in class, it was different because, of course, the men would have their hands, like their nails cut short. And so I'd just be around with them nodding. Every now and then I would either, scratch myself, scratch someone else by accident, especially starting out, because I'm still learning how to move around and things. And so I was actually learning Aoji French, which is a cartwheel that spins and ends like a round off kind of, or reverse round off, something like that. And so as I was learning that move, it was, the steps were getting broken down, and I was just going through the process of repetition. And so I can't remember if it was a weekday or a weekend, but I was at home and I was training it upstairs. We had an upstairs game room. And Professor Bizoro, he was teaching me how to do it, and we were working on the actual mechanics of it, and just trying to really make it click inside of my head. And so I talked about my nails and how the nails on my hands were long. my feet had the same problem, but they were more groomed, so they weren't like they weren't out of control. They just, you know how when women go and get their pedicures, sometimes they'll get like the acrylic on their toes and things like that. Well, I didn't need that because my toenails were, you know, that. So they just needed to be shaped a little bit and I was good. So that's the preface. And so as I'm going up to do Algae French, I somehow, and for the life of me, I do not know how this happened. I tripped upside down. How? I have no idea. I tripped going upstairs, so maybe that's a part of it. So I tripped upside down, and when I came down, my toenail cut the back of my calf from the top of it to the bottom of it. So it was just this long gash down my leg, and I'm like, oh man, that's gonna take a while to heal. And I go to class, I have it all bandaged up, and people start asking questions. And once my teacher, who's now contramestre sombra, he wasn't contramestre back then, but he was still my original teacher. And when he found out about the story, he was like, "Oh, I know exactly what to call you." And so the running joke is when I'm around or when I get like a little feisty, they compare me to the dinosaur in Jurassic Park when it goes on the skateboard and all you hear is so yeah.
That's that totally makes sense. I will have to say this, that you will not gain a lot of friends if you get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with that. Hopefully your ways have changed, but yeah. Just a PSA for all those that train in Jiu-Jitsu. Maybe a little less for other martial arts, but definitely in Jiu-Jitsu and the grappling arts. Gotta trim those nails, folks. Gotta trim those nails. So, just a little PSA there for you. Yeah, I like that. I like that story. It's I'm gonna have to watch out next time we're in the order. So. Let's see. What was the other thing that I wanted? Oh, yeah. So has Capoeira been the only martial art that you've been involved with? Have you branched out to anything else?
Yeah, so it's the only one that I've actually stuck with. I think I did a week of boxing and it was cool. It was really cool, but at the time it wasn't really cost efficient for me. So I couldn't actually pursue that. But yeah, capoeira has been the only thing, and I kind of like that though.
Yeah. It's we're in a world now where cross training is very very prevalent, and a lot of people do it, and I definitely am someone that doesn't believe that it's for everyone. As much as I love doing it, it can be problematic at times, especially when you're doing arts that are similar. You can kind of run into issues, but even with non-similar. So I started in Kempo karate, and when I started in capoeira many years ago, I had I had a lot of difficulty with not going back into a fighting stance. So in capoeira, your base move, your main rice and beans move, is something called the ginga, and when you're doing the ginga, it's a constant movement, and it's not I do a move, I do a kick, I do a punch or something, and then I go back to this fighting stance. You got to keep moving. And so my first few months of doing capoeira, I had to try and break all of the karate movements, and so that was a little tricky, and kind of got back into that habit a little bit when I went from training capoeira all the time to going back to training kempo, and so a little bit of that kind of crept back in. But
So I have a question.
Yes.
With the various martial art disciplines that you've trained, m- let me ask this question first. What was the first one that you started?
So the very first one I started was Kempo. It was technically called Chinese Kempo, but it's, well, that's a whole nother long thing. But there's different. It's a version of karate to kind of make it most simplified. Now there is so. I saw a movie called The Perfect Weapon with Jeff Speakman. You can ask Sombra about this movie. He's very familiar with it. But the movie was I guess to make it simple, it was the Kempo version of Only the Strong, in which that art was very much featured in that movie, and so I got into that. I found a school and got into that. Not too long after, I guess maybe. Well, let's see. Only the Strong came out, or excuse me, The Perfect Weapon came out in '91. And then I believe Only the Strong came out in '92 or '93. Like many capoeiristas, I saw Only the Strong and was like, oh, like what is that? Oh, capoeira. Yeah, I got to do that. And unfortunately, I did not get a chance to start. I couldn't find a capoeira school in. I'm from San Diego, and for whatever reason, couldn't find a capoeira school. Which now I think there's like 3 like huge groups in San Diego. So. Yeah, I don't know. Like I like to say, the martial arts chooses you. You know, capoeira chooses you versus you choosing it, and I guess it just wasn't my time. So, kind of fast forward to me living here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. I did my annual rewatch of Only the Strong. I was like, oh yeah, whatever happened with that capoeira thing, and started seeking it out, and I found the Dallas Capoeira group probably about a week before I moved to Reno. So it was fresh in my mind when I got to Reno, and luckily I found a teacher there, and just started the love affair from there. So if you want to go down the list, so I started with Kempo. I did. Then I got into capoeira. Then let's see, and then I started doing Hapkido, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, and capoeira again. A different version of capoeira, or excuse me, a different version of Kempo. Kempo and capoeira, they're too close in my brain. So. So I kind of started doing them all kind of at the same time, and just because I can't say no, I just keep training all of these things, even though I probably shouldn't. But you know, it's fun. But yeah, for me, I enjoy the cross training, but I realize that it's not for everyone. And then as far as I mean, I'm kind of envious of those that can just do one art and not, because I see people do things and it's like, oh, I want to do that too, and so it's kind of hard to say no.
Yeah, I've thought about cross training specifically with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, because that's typically one that a lot of capoeiristas kind of couple with capoeira. But I am a girl through and through. And when I think of grappling with individuals that sweat a whole lot and the possibility of their sweat getting on me, it grosses me out too much.
No, I can relate. I shunned off Brazilian Jiu Jitsu for a long time for that very same reason. But yeah, it's once you get the bug, and you have to find the right school, the right teachers, and stuff like that. And I'm gonna give a shameless self promotion, a shameless shout out to the school that I train at, Henzo Gracie DFW. We've got a great school, great teachers, and just a little wink, nudge, but we've got a great a great women's program. So I would highly suggest that you come out and check out the school and maybe get into some Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So it's my shameless plug there. But I just like training. But getting back to your story. So what was maybe? I mean, Capoeira is awesome. So we'll just get that out of the way. But what do you think was maybe the hook that kept you training?
So, I think that target moved around quite a bit. So if you would have asked me this question a couple years after I started versus maybe even 10 years after I started to where I am now, I think I would have given you different answers throughout that journey. The biggest thing that kept me going, especially during my teenage years, was the family aspect. Being able to train with two cousins that, I highly respect and love. It gave me that push that I needed. And also during your teenage years, it's a really good way to let off steam. So just doing that. And then after like my little cousin, after she stopped, and it was just me and her dad, then it was more of, okay, well, who else can I kind of latch on to for that competitive pullout? And then I would find, and unbeknownst to them, because they didn't know, but I would kind of like single out folks and compare where I was as far as like level or skill, with where I saw them. And I'd be like, okay, so now my goal is to be as good or better than this person. And then once I felt that I was there, then it was like, okay, who's the next victim? And then it was just like kind of like that. And now I feel that since I have more of a leadership role, now that I am Professora, it feels more like the art is bigger than me. And one of my favorite mestras, again, name dropping, Mestra Sarara. She actually mentioned this to me the last time I talked to her. She was like, you're going to get to a point where you realize that Capoeira isn't for you. It's for the people that you're helping learn and grow in the art. And that kind of just like stuck with me because I was evolving to it. But after she said it, it was like, okay, well, now this makes sense as to why I've been feeling the way that I've been feeling, why I've been wanting to, like contribute more and things like that. And honestly, now that I have folks in the art that actually look up to me and want my help and actually take the advice that I give them to help them improve, it's like, I can't stop. I have to keep going for them, so yeah. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yes. No, I like that. And it actually perfectly leads into what I was going to ask you about next let's talk about the graduating. So, for the listeners that may not be familiar in the Capoeira world, many groups, many schools, they have a point where you're considered what's called a graduated student, probably equivalent to a black belt in most of the other arts there, and that's when you just kind of go from being a normal student to being a teacher to being an advanced individual, and it's a big deal when you graduate and you get the title of professora, and it's a big deal. So going now that you have achieved this point, and you're getting into the teaching and that sort of thing. Well, let's maybe go back a little bit. Is the teaching aspect something that you've always been interested in, or is it?
Absolutely not. So I grew up in Capoeira, in an environment where a lot of the folks that transitioned into the leadership roles, they still kind of wore that student hat. And what I mean by that is, yes, we have to, do certain things because it's a requirement if we want to continue moving up, or things of that nature. But it's like in the back of our minds, and then at the core of us as the capoeiristas that we are, we just want to constantly learn. We want to constantly do and be that student. And so I think having to consciously make the effort to say, okay, I'm at this point now where I've done a lot of growth in the art, and I know enough to be able to figure out what things I actually need to focus on based on, one, the style of game that I want, two, the way that I want to be perceived in these games, three, getting the awareness that I need for all the things that I want to be able to do, not just inside of the Hoida, the game, but even outside from the community aspect. You have to kind of take a step back, sit yourself down, and be like, okay, now that I'm at this point, what things do I actually have to offer? How can I give back? How can I be less selfish and more selfless to allow people to have the space that they need to grow into the capoeiristas that they desire to be. And I think that realization kind of helps mature you enough to be able to, find those things out. And it also kind of forces you to be introspective in a sense where you have to understand that though you still want to be the student, you have to be the teacher to teach the students. And so just going through that change, it's difficult, but it made me realize that I wanted to help out more. And from there, that actually led me to not only having my teacher point things out to say, hey, you need to be working on these things, or, XYZ, but then being proactive about it and saying, hey, I know eventually I'm going to need to, learn how to teach, maybe like a workshop or something. So can I have the opportunity to maybe warm up the class? Can I have the opportunity to teach a class so that you can see how I'm doing, or I can figure out how I'm doing so that we can figure out what I did well and what I didn't do well to be able to improve and be better for next time. So things like that. Does that answer your question?
Oh yeah. So now that you've got a seat at the table, you got a taste of of the good life now. So what is the future look like? Is there any aspirations to have your own group, school, that sort of thing, or?
So in this moment, I think there are a lot of things going on for me right now. So having that desire to start my own school or anything like that, that isn't there. And in the moment, I'm actually in a place where I feel that I still have a lot of growth left in me, to even make it to like my next rank or something like that. And so right now, the focus is really on me trying to figure out how I can increase my confidence in getting to that eventual space. So I, I'm just really focused on training more, figuring out where my weak spots are so that I can, fix those things. And I'll even give you an example, even though I probably shouldn't, because you might use it against me.
Never do that around here.
But for instance, we recently had our huge 20th anniversary event. And while I was playing, certain people, and this time I won't name drop, but while I was playing, folks, like they were able to point out where in my game could use more improvement, such as sometimes I get lazy and think that I'm just flowing and then my arms drop. And all of this is exposed. Or maybe I'm coming out of a move and again, my arms are dropped and all of this is exposed. And so someone can just throw a kick and get me, which happened. So I just want to, before I get to a place where I can, contribute more in a sense of leading and things like that, I want to get to a place where I'm really solid in where I am. And so working on more of the technique and solidifying my ground, I just really want to, without a shadow of a doubt, when someone sees me play, they can immediately recognize my level. They can immediately recognize the strength in my game and the confidence that I have while I'm playing to be comfortable getting in there with me, but also feel safe enough to know that, yes, I can do all these things, but I know how to tailor it based on who I'm actually playing and things like that. So I need to grow more. I feel that I need to grow more. And until that is satisfactory for me, that's going to be my focus.
Very nice, very nice. So I'm going to heap a little praise here, a little ass kiss rodeo in that being an old fogey like me. Gosh, I guess I'm a little old man yelling at the cloud in that. Today's generation, the young people of today, gosh, how could I say this without getting myself in trouble? I mean, there's definitely a softening and a definitely not a desire to try and be better. There's a lot of I know it all, and there's a lot of entitlement and things like that. So to hear you be vulnerable enough to say, "Oh yes, there are things that I need to work on," and I mean, I'm gonna, you play a very excellent game. You got great moves. I'm always impressed and. But yes, it takes a lot to be able to say, no, I'm not, I'm not the most amazing capoeirista in the world, and yeah, there are areas that I can need improvement, and if someone tells me whether they're high up or not, if they're like, oh, like maybe you could work on this or that, instead of just being the, oh well, like what do you know? You're only such and such chord or whatever. Like,
yeah,
you're whatever. To be able to take that information, take that criticism or whatever word you want to use, and just be like, oh yeah, yes, I'm going to take that, and if it's something that I need to work on, then I'll do that. If they're just talking out their ass, then I can categorize it as needed. But I would say I don't want to lump all the young folks together, but yeah, there's a lot of that. Oh well, like you don't tell me what to do or whatever, and so I like that you are willing to be open up and be vulnerable to that. So good on you. That's a good way to be in these days. So
thank you.
So kind of with that, since. I mean, capoeira has been growing a lot, but it's still a very niche art and things no, there's still a lot of people that aren't really familiar with it. So, in your kind of perspective, where do you think capoeira is heading? Where would you like to see it go in the future? Maybe do you have any thoughts on how we can get capoeira out to more people, and just kind of what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so as far as where I see it heading, I think capoeira is going to be huge, especially in the US. It's already huge where it originated from, but I think the awareness that is being spread around, even just the tournaments that they have. I think once folks get to a point where they are comfortable kind of pushing their limits and their boundaries to grow, and see this more as a respectable martial art, I think this is going to be huge. Where I can see improvements being made is around really emphasizing the fact that though there are many aspects of the art, such as the musical aspect, the acrobatical aspect, and things of that nature, I think with those various pieces, people tend to forget that you can really get hurt in this or with this. And so if we could, continue to grow it, but also keep that awareness around the dangers of it, as well as the effectiveness of it, with a true, and I don't know why words are escaping me right now, but a true like interaction and opportunity to utilize this in an actual altercation. I think that's what's going to give people that thought as far as, oh, I could actually use this to protect myself. Like, yeah, that's why you've stuck around for like 15 years. You should be comfortable using this if you needed to. So I want it to be respected more. I want people to understand the dangers around it. When we're training, I want us to be more intentional around our trainings, to be able to understand why we do things a certain way, like why it's important to keep your arms up when you're moving, because you don't want to mess up your face or get your face messed up. I want people to understand the value in dodging correctly, because say for instance, we're doing a skiva, and for the viewers who aren't aware of what a skiva is, think of a squat where you're kind of bent down and then like leaned over to the side. The safe spot in that dodge is being in the center of like where your legs are. And when I see a lot of people do a skiva, especially starting out, they over lean and their head is in the danger zone. And so just bringing awareness to like those little granular things, so that they understand, oh, this is why I'm doing this. Oh, my hands need to be up because they need to be solid enough. If something actually comes, I can actually deflect. So things like that, I wanted to be taken more seriously.
Very nice. I'm so glad that you said that, and that leads into a couple of things that I was thinking about. One, I love that you can kind of essentially said about training with a purpose, and not just kind of doing the moves just to do the moves. And it's not just in capoeira and in all of these different arts, but there's a lot of people that just kind of go through the motions and just check the boxes and don't really train with intention and train with their, like, there's a reason why we're doing this. There's a reason why it's a martial art. And yes, not everybody's trying to be the UFC champion and that sort of thing, but it is at the end of the day a martial art, and we need to train as such. So definitely, if you're just kind of sleepwalking through your training, stop that. That's something that I've always always said, always been told, and always said in capoeira is if you get hit, it's your fault, and if you hit somebody else, it's your fault. So yeah,
Well,
you gotta.
I don't know, because if you're a higher rank than me and you get hit, that's your fault.
But yeah, you have to train with purpose. You have to you have to be conscious of what you're doing and what's being done to you and all of those sorts of things. So that's one aspect. The other part to it is that I would say that there's over the years, and people still kind of do this. Oh, this art is better than this art, and this kind of thing does. Oh well, I wouldn't use that in a fight, or that wouldn't work on the street, and that sort of thing. And I hear that a lot in the Kempo world. Kempo is very self-defense oriented martial art, very lot less traditional than karate or whatever. But something that always comes up with when you bring capoeira into the picture is, oh, that wouldn't work in the street, and you're not going to be able to do that, and I'm not going to do a backflip in a fight. And there's there's a couple of thoughts that I have about that. One, I'm going to do some name dropping now. So so there's a movie called Never Back Down, and there is a scene in there. I mean, for those that don't know, it's a movie about these teenagers or whatever, and they're street fighters, or they have some kind of underground fight ring or whatever the deal is. And there is a scene in the movie where I guess the main bad guy is fighting this capoeira guy, and I guess a number of years kind of around when this movie was about to come out, or when it came out. I guess like an extra or somebody that was kind of in the background videoed this scene where they have the capoeirista, and he's doing all these flips and stuff, and then he jumps into the fight, and the bad guy hits him with one punch and knocks him out. Yep. And because of the way that this kind of like background footage was shot, it kind of looked like it was a real deal. So it kind of went viral, is getting passed around, and of course, anything capoeira comes around, we all got to see it and pass it around and stuff. So, seeing this video and not realizing that it's for a movie, people are showing it around and stuff, and going, oh my God, what do you think about this? And so I took this video to Mestre Accordion, and was like, hey, what do you think about this? And he sees it and he goes, that's not capoeira. And it really kind of clicked with me in that, we're not going to do a backflip, or at least I'm not going to do a backflip in the street.
Not even a cartwheel. Not even a cartwheel.
So yeah, I'm not going to do that in a fight. And a lot of people are talking about, I'm not going to do this thing in a fight. And it's like, I wouldn't either. That's not capoeira. That's doing a flip and showing off and stuff like that. But the other part that I would say to it is, don't get me wrong, I love Kempo, I love Taekwondo, I love Muay Thai, I love all these different arts. But some arts are, I would say, maybe I don't want to say more battle tested, but I will say in capoeira and in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, singling those two out, you spend more time going closer to 100% than you do in a lot of other arts. And we could get into the debate of, of course, you're not going to do an arm break and an eye gouge and all this stuff like that. We can't train those things that to their full extent. But in when you're in a capoeira roda, I mean, you're just not connecting a move, you throw a kick and it's not connecting with a person, but it's going full blast. I can't even count how many times my face has almost been ripped off because a kick is flying, a heel, a foot, a fist, an elbow is flying at me full speed. The person throwing has enough control and knows the distancing, but a capoeira kick is just as effective as some other arts kick, and we get to train it more closer to how we're going to fight with it than you would in a lot of other arts where you got all this gear on and all this other stuff like that. And then there's the aspect of just being comfortable with movement and with engaging with this other person, that I think a lot of other arts don't really do that. So yeah, for those that say that capoeira wouldn't work in the street or whatever, I've seen I've seen it in action and I've done it enough to know that it'll work. No, not going to do a backflip, but maybe after I beat the person and go home and I'm in the safety of my house, I'll do a backflip. But
yeah, I think another thing that folks need to recognize as it pertains to capoeira is that when it comes to the showy parts of it, there was a reason for why those things were being done. This was an art that was created during slavery and during a time period where folks were not able to openly train anything like this without being, severely reprimanded. And so the reason that these things are incorporated is supposed to be to disguise those things. That doesn't mean that when you go into an actual altercation that you're supposed to just do all those things. You're supposed to pick and choose which ones are actually going to defend you. So as you stated, I would not expect myself or anyone else to get into an altercation and then, bust out a high ease or do a cartwheel or any of the flashy moves. Instead, it's like you take it back to the basics, which is why training your basics is important. You want to make sure that when you throw your kick, it's solid. And when you throw your arms or anything like that, like those things are also solid and you're protecting yourself the whole way through. And I think that's one of the things that really distinguishes the advanced folks from the more novice players. As you were saying, when someone goes into a game, and let's just use the example of two Methodists playing each other. Because they've done so much to get to the level that they are at, they more times than not have the control, they have the vision, they have all those things needed to effectively get close or be like right here without actually, having the power to continue and then, effectively retrieve their movements to be able to move into something else. And that takes a lot of training and a lot of practice to get to that certain skill level. So I can't expect someone who's been training like 3 years to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go in and throw a pontera or something like that. Like, okay, you can do that, but one, is your form going to be good enough? Is your base going to be solid enough to where while you're throwing this movement, you're not throwing yourself off balance and you're just affecting the other person? So there's a lot of different intricacies that I think a lot of people don't take into consideration or they forget until they're reminded of those things. So that's just my little 2 cents.
I like it. All right. So looking at the time here, let's go ahead and move into what I call our lightning round here. So I got a few little questions for you as we head towards wrapping up our time today. So the first question being, do you have a favorite technique?
Mm. I don't think I have a favorite technique, but I am a firm believer in being able to see before you finish executing a move. And it's hard.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. No, I hear you. Like I mentioned, I've almost had my face ripped off a number of times. One that I always bring up that sticks in my mind is working with someone, and as I was coming out of a let's see. I was coming out of an armada, and as I was coming around, just out of the corner of my eye, this young lady was throwing a Melo de Compasso, and I saw her foot coming towards me, and if I hadn't caught it just at the corner of my eye at that second that I did, that heel would have been buried deep into my face. So
Yeah.
yeah, you got to make sure that you're always looking looking where you're moving. So very nice. I like that. All right. The next question as well. We'll see if you have an answer for this. Since we don't really do weapons per se in capoeira, do you have a favorite weapon?
The machete. So with Makulele, just knowing that back then they used to use those, yeah, the machete.
Very nice. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. If there's any, next question is if there's anyone that you could train with, living or dead, fictional or non-fictional. I guess I'm going to have to change this a little bit for capoeira. So anyone that you could train with, living or dead, fictional or non-fictional, besides Mestre Bimba or Mestre Pastinha, who would that be?
Ooh. I would probably. Oh, that's a tough one. There's so many good ones, but I'm gonna make a decision and stick with it. I'm gonna say Mestre Corleone's wife, Mestra Suelen.
Mestre Sueli, yes, yes. I love that answer. She is quite an amazing individual, and yeah, it's. I guess I will kind of name drop, and it's been a pleasure to kind of train with Mestre Corleone and her at various times over the years, and I'm still kicking myself because they invited me to stay over there at their place a time or two, and for whatever reason, I didn't take advantage of that offer, but. But I will just go ahead and throw in the little story. There was a number of years ago. They came down. They came to my little group and hung out with us, and we had some workshops and stuff like that. And afterwards, we got done, and we went back to the house, and we're all hanging out and eating and having a good time. Of course, another roda broke out in the middle of the kitchen, which was kind of interesting, and all of these different things. And we were just hanging out, and Mr. Accordion, he breaks out his guitar and he's playing, and we're just jamming. We're having a good time, and it's like 4 a.m, and wow. Mestre Accordion is still going, and like nothing, like, oh, like I could do this all day. And Mestre Sueli is kind of kicking back, and at one point she's just like, I gotta go to bed. And this is Mestre Accordion is just like still just like playing around, and it's like 4 or 5 in the morning, and it was pretty wild. But and then that just triggered another memory. I feel no, I don't have any shame in this. So Mestre Sueli called me one time, and I couldn't take the call, but I looked at my phone, and it's like, oh, Mestre Sueli, like, holy crap! Like she's calling me directly, like, and so she left
my number,
So she left a voicemail, and I still have the voicemail on my phone. This is probably 5+ years, and yeah, that sucker is not getting deleted. So thank you, Cloud, because yeah, that sucker's staying on there for good. So
I met her
very
once,
nice.
I saw her play, and she now lives rent free in my head. Just knowing that she's able to be her age and still very bouncy and still fierce. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she has a great game. Great game. I love the way that she moves. So she's all around awesome. So Mr. Swelly, like you're awesome. So I like it. I like it. All right. Last question. What is something that always motivates you to train, and or something that you'd like to put out for others to motivate them to train? So the example that I always use is the movie Rocky IV. We have the training montage, and he's running in the snow and chopping the wood and lifting the boulders and all that good stuff. I see that scene, and I'm ready to get out there and hit the mats, get into the school, and get to training. So what is something like that motivates you, and or something that you want to put out to motivate others?
So I don't know if I can put it out to motivate others, but I think the thing that motivates me the most is right after Abachizado. Being able to be there and see the different workshops and learn the different things, playing the different people, like it's like an updated what's the phrase? It's an updated like litmus test. And it allows me to figure out where I need to focus more on and things like that. And so yeah, that part.
Very nice, very nice. I like it, and I like the use of the vocabulary there. Very nice. It's much better than the grunting and knuckle dragging that I usually do. So, very nice. All right, so we are at our very final piece of business for our time today, and that is the shameless self promotion. So you can plug anything that you want, or if there's anything that we haven't covered that you wanted to make sure to say, that you now have the floor, and then we'll close out from there.
Awesome. So first and foremost, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here and talk to your viewers. Shameless plugs. You can follow me anywhere on the socials at Mellow Mastermind, all one word, as well as Polymorph. So at Polymorph. And then also check out polymorph.com and also wandarodgers.com if you haven't already or don't know about it. Feel free to learn more about me and my business and train. Why train?
Very well said. Oh gosh, I've heard that so many times from so many different so sorry quick side tangent or story, but it just kind of came to mind. So one of the first Batizado events that I went to early in my training many moons ago, I was in Santa Cruz, and I was at a roda, and I was trying to kind of make my way up the circle so that I could get in and play. And I finally got up to the front of the roda, and there was I'm not sure, I guess he was a professor or something. I don't know, but there was a guy on the other side of the roda, and he's like looking at me, and like I'm trying to get in, but of course other high ranks are skipping ahead of me and that. And I'm seeing this guy, and he's like mouthing to me like, "Get in there." And I'm like start to try and go in there, and then somebody else buys in, and I'm just kind of doing this start and stop thing, and I keep looking over at this guy, and he's just like, "Get in there, get in there, get in there." And as we're kind of going, I just see his face just getting redder and redder and redder, and I'm like, "This guy's like gonna come over here and unalive me." And then at one point he's like beat red, and he just screams, "Get in there!" Oh. And so I start putting my foot in the roda, and then they cut the music, and they cut the and I just remember thinking, "Oh my God, this guy is going to go find me in the parking lot, and he's going to make my life." And so, yeah, that's Capoeira is fun. So like PSA for everyone, get in the hoda. Don't be shy. Get in there and do your thing. So yes, I thank you so much for being on and sharing your story. Sorry, I'm going to put a little shame on my other future guest, but Capoeira people are a lot harder to get locked down to be on the show. I've got quite a list of people that have agreed to be on, and we just have not been able to get it scheduled. So thank you for answering the call and stepping up and getting in there and being on the show. So I can't thank you enough for being on the show, and I'm excited to be able to share your story with the others. And let's get more people in the Hoda, and I'll be seeing you soon. I'm working on trying to get back into Capoeira a little bit more than I have been. So try and get myself to class a little bit more and do that. But once again, I can't thank you enough, and I will. I'm excited to be able to share your story. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.